Hi there, and thanks for joining us for some Thursday night arrows flinging here at the MODUS Super Series as 5 decent darters get ready to battle it out to book one of the 3 available places in finals night. Matthew Edgar alongside me. He's going to be commentating on this evening's action. Matt, what are you expecting tonight? A
really tight group where I think we're going to see nobody at the bottom of the table with 0 points at the end of the night. Everyone's going to beat each other. I'm not going to go as strong as Henry did this morning as saying there's going to be a 9-darter, but there's going to be some quality.
Well, let's look forward to that. There certainly was some quality this afternoon, and Henry, strong as Matt just described him, is ready to describe that action to you.
Danny Lauby lost his first couple of matches, but responded to end the day strongly. He picked up 4 points from his opening day's action. Meanwhile, for Patella, he also picked up 4 points, but it was an opposite case. After winning each of his first 2 matches, he went on to subsequently lose his last 3. He's the player at the bottom of the table. But he did provide us with some moments of brilliance, including this 118 outshot to get the better of Graham Usher. Adam Lipscomb made his debut in this tournament today, and he impressed with some good performances. He's 3rd in the table overnight. Consistency for Conterman will be the phrase he'll be looking at tomorrow. He's 4th in the table, but only 2 points off of those top 2 spots, which gets you to finals night. Talking about those positions, that's exactly where Graham Usher is. He won 3 from 5, a much improved performance from him on Thursday. But the man they're all chasing down is this granite man of steel, Gary Stone. He won 4 out of his 5 matches, including big blockbuster moments like that 138.
Yeah, certainly Stone showed he was made of strong stuff. And speaking of strong men, we saw Adam Lipscomb on his debut, a former strongman participant. He really did impress, didn't he?
He did, and I feared the worst for him at the start of the day. He lost his first game 4-0 and didn't really put too much of a fight up, was restricted to about 2 or 3 darts at a double. And then in the next game, he came quite close and actually had match darts, and then started picking off some 4-0 victories, but doing it in style as well. He was restricting his opponents quite well. He was dominating those games, looked really good at times, and really want to see what he brings tomorrow.
Quick reflection on the Group C table then at the halfway stage. This action resumes tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Gary Stone is in a very good position as he's 4 points ahead of the chasing pack with Graham Usher in between, but he looks catchable from any of the other 4.
Yeah, it's a wide open group, isn't it? 4 players on 4 points. I do think the 2 players at the top are going to be the 2 players that end there, but Danny Lauby's got potential there to really upset that party. He's played some good stuff after losing his first 3 games. He won his last 2 matches, and it's certainly not put the bookies off. They've still got him installed quite heavily in this in relation to where he is in the table. He's still got a good chance according to those.
Well, we will find out tomorrow about that. But Jan van Veen, he's already through to finals night. 2 players will go through from Group C and 3 from Group B, which is about to get underway. Josh Payne and David Cameron, I mean, they were in contention to make it through as a Group A winner. They come in to join Andy Jenkins, James Richardson and Paul Hogan. It's not going to be easy for either of them to get through.
David Cameron, you say he was in contention. He was in strong contention. He was the favourite going into the last day. He had 2 very good days on Monday and Tuesday, got 16 points. But at the end of play on Wednesday, he still had 16 points. He could not find a win, 19% on his doubles, and there's a few concerns going into today on the back of that.
Yeah, and he is playing James Richardson in the opening match of this session. He might be trying to take advantage of that decline from David Cameron. And Henry Deacon caught up with him a little earlier this evening.
James, welcome back to the Super Series. You played the first full week here in this venue. What was your first impressions then, and what's it like to be back?
Yeah, I mean, when you walk into this place, it's wow, you know. If you can't play darts on here, this is absolutely amazing, this venue, and it's a brilliant setup. I mean, the throw, everything to go with it is absolutely spot on. Yeah, brilliant.
Since we last saw you here in this competition, you've had some success elsewhere in the ADC, the European champion once again.
Yeah, I took it off Kevin Painter 2 weeks ago, and yeah, I'm glad to have the European title back, but we're still waiting for a challenger. So if there's anybody out there, come on. Get on it. Get challenging me. I want to play someone.
Ruthless wants some competition.
I do. I want some competition. So if anybody out there wants to bid, get a bid in to ADC and get on it. Come on.
Talking about competition, a lot of competition in that room tonight. Really, really tough looking group, but I can see you're looking forward to the challenge.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. They're class players in there, so everybody's got to be on their game tonight. Hopefully I've got to be on mine. Well, I've got to be on mine. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to tonight, Emmy. It's going to be good.
Well, we hope to see the best of you, James. Good luck.
Thank you very much, Emmy. Cheers.
As always, up for it, James Richardson there. A bit of a rallying call for those who want to challenge him at the amateur darts circuit for that European Championship belt. So it is the ADC's European champion against the World Seniors Masters champion in David Cameron. Henry Deacon and Matthew Edgar are ready to talk you through it as the players in Group B get their bidding started.
Good evening, Chris. Good evening, everyone. It's a second part of a Tungsten Thursday treat, and it really is a group full of champions and challengers. David Cameron, champion at Lakeside in the World Seniors Masters, up against James Richardson, who in that interview spoke about his European title success, and he's looking to retain that title in the next few weeks, but they're all bidding for one prize here this evening, and that is a place into finals night and a place to join the Fantastic Five that have already qualified for Champions Week of Series 2 here at the MODUS Super Series. They'll join the likes of Jim McEwen, Alexander Merckx, Justin Smith, Colin Osborne, and of course the man who picked up the title last week, Jamie Kelling, in the £20,000 occasion at the beginning of February. So then, 10 games for us to enjoy this evening, and if you enjoy groups that have a bit of a roller coaster, ups, downs, people jostling for position, and you don't quite know who's going to finish in the top places, well, darts is the only sport for you, isn't it, Matthew Edgar?
Well, this group is certainly going to be that, isn't it? We thought Group C was quite tight, where we've got the 4 players on 4 points, and then obviously Graham Usher and Gary Stone on the top. I think we're going to get very similar from this. I don't see anybody ending tonight on no points. We normally get that scenario crop up. I don't think we're going to get that today with these players. I think everyone's going to get some victories somewhere, which means tomorrow everyone should be in the running.
And we spoke about this earlier, both on and off air.
140.
It feels too hard to make a prediction. And I know sometimes we ban that phrase out sometimes, maybe a little bit too often. But on this occasion, there's 5 players there for which every single one you can make a genuine case for.
Yeah, well, 2 of the players that are playing in this group are in the top 5 of the overall week for the betting, which is Josh Payne and James Richardson. Josh Payne obviously a favourite to win this group. James Richardson's second favourite, which I believe was your prediction in the preview.
Indeed it was. 11-4 before play got underway.
177.
David Cameron, next in line, 7-2. So we've got the second and the third favourite taking each other on in the opening match.
James on the first leg.
James Richardson, the ADC European champion, who opens up his account. And I'm going to be honest.
Second leg is David to throw first.
I think the 7-2 about David Cameron's a little bit tight. Especially when we look at
180.
Looking at him coming into today off the back of yesterday, still not seeing him yet on the outer ring. That is going to be the big question mark that's hanging over him. Just 19% yesterday. That is a long way off. That is more than 1 in 5. When we say 1 in 3 is the baseline.
134.
Nearly 2 handfuls of darts required to get out.
Well, this has been a brilliant leg for David Cameron. Kicked off at 180. Richardson with 180.
180.
Always a big call, that, isn't it? The maximum. It's the pride of a referee's arsenal.
I think it's just got a little bit bigger, hasn't it?
137.
Well, David Cameron here I'm going to say he's on for an 11. He's technically on for a 10, but I highly doubt he's going to go for the bullseye. This could incredibly be the third max of the leg.
140.
It's not.
David, you require 50.
Well, he's not going to go for the bull. Double 16 for an 11 dart leg. To respond to Richardson's opener.
42.
Doesn't go.
James, you require
And this has been a
123.
tidy start to the match. Another one of them. Or the single. And upstairs.
84. David, you require 8.
That's an interesting way to go. We'll discuss that a little bit more in the next leg. Because
James on
David
the
Cameron has
second
it 1 in 14
David
now.
Cameron.
Matthew Edgar's having a little think to himself as to the scenario there, because we've all fully expected James to stay downstairs there after the first treble 19.
Yeah,
41.
if anything, he should have been over at the 16s with that shot. The 57 would have left him the 66. Over to the 16. 16 would have left him the ball. The treble 16 would have left him double 9. Or double 16 could have left him the
100.
least used dart. Or double on the dartboard, which is double 17. I'm really confused as to what he was
43.
thinking there. Because if he'd have got the treble 20, he'd have left double 3.
$57.
What do you think David Cameron would have done in the break between the end of yesterday, where he picked up 0 points from Wednesday, and now? Is it a bit like how we spoke about Graham Usher earlier, in the fact that it's a clean slate, it's 0 points, everything else is now rendered irrelevant?
It all comes down to the individual. Now, I don't know David
78.
Cameron overly well, but I've met him a couple of occasions. We've had a couple of chats. And I would say, from what I know of David Cameron,
140.
he wouldn't have cared. He would have just gone away and done his normal thing. I think he only cares when he's up there doing. And he doesn't tend to let it lag and carry on into outside of this venue, which is why I had those question
58.
marks around him.
James,
How was he going to react
154.
when he gets back up there and he's back in that playing environment? I certainly don't think it would have affected him overnight. I certainly don't think he'd have worried about it during the day.
94.
I've got to
100.
say, he actually responded quite
James,
well,
requires
because some
60.
original darts, that dart at double 8 was halfway in the bed. It was a long way off, and then he came back and polished it up with the next visit. So, good resilience from David Cameron.
40. David, you require 108.
Here presents an opportunity. He only needs the one treble. There it is, 51 from here. Nice finish this for a player that loves a double
James on the
16,
third
because
leg.
it's all nicely
David
in that
Cameron.
area. And David Cameron, I asked the question, how will he respond? How will he respond on the outer ring?
Fourth leg, it's
Well,
David
it
to
looks
throw
like he's
first.
dismissing
Game on.
yesterday as just a bad day at the office.
Now, those are the averages after 3 legs.
40.
Ironically, that's actually as low as the averages have been. That's been the standard in this game thus far.
$85.
Also needs to be pointed out that that last leg, that 108 finish from David Cameron, was a break of throw.
60.
Had to come at some point. Might as well get it done nice and early.
66. $177.
Well, that's Cameron's second of the game.
84.
James Richardson, we've mentioned that he's the European champion on the ADC, is actually a very, very experienced player when not just in darts but in the Super Series in this format. He's sort of been in it from the very first inception.
96.
I'm just having a look at the
David,
amount of games that James
164.
Richardson has played. 308 matches. And he's going to be playing at least another 8 this week.
132. James, you reckon 170.
Tidy, isn't it, from Cameron? Tidy, polished performance.
130.
What a way to
David,
answer
you
the question
require
marks
32.
that I've hung over the head of him today, really.
Up until that
24.
point, he's been doing everything he's
James, you
needed to
require
do.
40.
But that has presented an opportunity for Richardson to claim the break back, level it to a piece, and then have the darts to go in
Game's on the
front.
fourth leg.
He does exactly
James
that with that
Richardson.
double 10. And so Cameron has spurned opportunities there
Fifth leg is James
Three
to
of
throw
them
first. Game
for a
on.
3-1 lead. And so Richardson returns, averaging a shade under 96. The opportunity to open up
43.
that lead. And I don't know about you, Matt, but you just get this feel with James that he just has this infectious love for the game that if there's a tournament wherever
60.
it is, he'll go and play in it. He'll just go and enjoy his darts.
Oh, yeah, if I said tonight when we're finished back at the house I'm going to run the
60.
Edgar Open, his name would be on the sheet. He would literally play darts 7 nights a week. He was the same. There used to be another guy quite local, because James Richardson quite local to me, and there used to be another guy the other side. Used to be called the Undertaker, Nigel Hayden.
140.
And the pair of them literally would play darts 7 nights a week. He used to say, like, any open nearby, you'd always get those two players attending.
140.
Two things James Richardson really loves in his life, and that's his darts and his curries.
That should have been one of the interview questions, isn't it? Because it's
83.
become quite famous now, hasn't it? The slow cooker.
Yeah, likes a strong curry, a bit of kick to it, a little bit of spice.
140.
And obviously doesn't feel that people can make it the same way he can, so makes it himself in the hotel room.
Much cheaper. Much cheaper.
94. James, you've record 118.
Suppose if you know what you like, might as well do it.
78. David, you've record 124.
You like that last dart? Is he going to like what he's about to see from David Cameron? Because he's going to hit one dart at the bullseye for yet another
92.
break. Doesn't go.
James, you've record 40.
So Richardson, to turn this game on its head, Cameron had 3 darts for 3-1.
20.
And now Richardson has
David,
missed
you
the
require
opportunity
32.
to find himself on the hill.
No
And we
score.
keep on waiting to see who will be running
James,
up
you
that
require
hill.
20. Games on the 5th leg. James Richardson.
And it's Richardson who finds himself on the hill, surviving those 3 darts to go 3-1 down. Surviving more darts to go 3-2 down. But he finds himself in front, finds himself one away from victory in the opening game of the night. It's all to do now
99.
for the Canadian, David Cameron.
Just
Just had a quick gander over to the fixture list coming forward, and there's one thing about this group that is glaringly obvious, and that you're not going to get a game that you can really look
59.
forward to. let's say David Cameron was to lose this. You go, oh, where's he going next? He's got a 2-game break, and then he's got Andy Jenkins. There's not a situation where you go, well, I want to get that player in early, or this player can break this cycle for me. I said at the start of the show, and I stand by it, I don't think anyone's going to be at the bottom without a victory, but this is the sort of group where someone could go back-to-back days and be down at the bottom on 0 or 2 points, because as we saw with Graham Usher in Group A, when you start on that losing trend, it's so hard to break that cycle.
And the issue is, in a group like this, you cannot afford to be chasing.
$55. David, you require 143. $97.
Chasing in this leg, and he might be chasing a lost cause, because David Cameron, after 15 darts, has set him up pretty tasty.
85.
We'll get plenty of
David,
darts
you
at the
require
double.
46.
Might need them. Missed 10 so far in this match.
Game show on the
takes
sixth
us
leg.
all the way
David
to a last
Cameron.
leg shootout, which instantly makes me look at previous when they get to this situation. This is a very, very
Seventh
important
and final
stat.
against James to throw first.
It is very, very different playing a game where you are looking to win the match or lose the match, when it all comes down to just 501 points. David Cameron is on debut this week 3 times. He's gone to this department. He's lost 2 of those and won himself 1. Obviously, James Richardson's played a couple of thousand games in this environment, it feels. He has played 94 times. 51 times he's managed to get over the line. So, advantage Richardson. And the fact that he's throwing first in this leg is double advantage to James Richardson.
$140.
That ton 40 there breaks the exchange of tons. Next game for both players. James Richardson will return in game 3 to take on Paul Hogan, while Cameron will be back in match 4 when he takes on Andy Jenkins. After this, Jenkins will be in action, and he takes on Josh Payne, the man who finished runner-up in Group B yesterday. But have a look at this for 6 good darts in a deciding leg for David Cameron. Ton 40, ton 80 after the ton start. Needs him on 81 after 9. But have a look at this for a riposte by Richardson.
David, you require 81.
Textbook. At this point, James Richardson goes in his mind 15 darter. It forces Cameron to 12. Cameron thinks, if I want this in my own hands, I've got to go out in 12.
55.
Absolute textbook leg of darts when it comes down to the very last leg. Executed perfectly.
Game shot on the match.
Absolute
James
brilliance.
Richardson.
Textbook by both players. David Cameron attempted the 12. He got himself down to a dart at the double. He had a shot at that. James Richardson, textbook professional leg, 15 darter with the throw. He actually went out in 14 in the end. Really, really good battle, good game, and James Richardson kicks off his campaign with a couple of points. Coming up next, we've got the favourite for this group, Josh Payne, taking on Andy Jenkins, who we're going to get to see for the first time this week.
Welcome back. So Ruthless Richardson defeated David Cameron in the evening's opening encounter. A great game it was as well. 4-3 in the end to Richardson, who threw in that 180 in the last leg to leave 21 and took it out to get over the line past Cameron, who missed a match dart himself in the decider. 4 180s between the pair of them. A really promising start to this evening's action. The second match then features Andy Jenkins and Josh Payne. Payne, who has been playing here all week, finished second in Group A, produced some good stuff as well. Just seems to be a little bit too far away for most of the group to get to top spot, but did put up a good challenge and will be a threat in this group, no doubt about that. He faces Andy Jenkins and he beat him the only time they met here at the Super Series, although it was 4-3. And Andy Jenkins, interestingly, he's won exactly half of the matches he's played. Won 64, lost 64. He'll be desperate, of course, as a player local to our live lounge here in Portsmouth to make it to Saturday night in front of a crowd. You could be part of that crowd, of course. Tickets available via dartshop.tv, and they are absolutely free as well. So can the King of Cosham get there, and can he get off to a winning start? Well, Henry Deacon caught up with Jenks earlier on.
Andy, welcome back to the Super Series. It's your second experience of this stage in Portsmouth, and the first one, you packed the place out on Saturday night.
Yeah, obviously, being the home boy, yeah, I will do. And obviously this Saturday, hopefully I'll get through and pack it out again.
Does having that advantage of being from the city actually help, or spur you on, especially to try and get through to the Saturday nights?
Obviously the last time I got on a Saturday night, it was a bit of a hindrance towards me. I didn't prepare well. I was using different stems and that, so this time it'll be a bit different.
How's the game in general? We've seen you win a few bits on tour this year.
Yeah, not too bad. Still cracking along and carrying on as I do, you know what I mean? And, you know, if I turn up, then I'll win it, but see if I turn up.
Looking forward to tonight. Tough group, isn't it?
Yeah, very hard tonight, you know what I mean? Paul's a good player, you know what I mean? They're all good players out there. You know, it's very hard tonight. I couldn't pick a winner, so.
We wish you all the best, Andy. Good luck.
Cheers, thank you.
Yeah, so as I said, Andy Jenkins really desperate to make it here to finals night on Saturday. Now, we are based in Portsmouth, as I was saying before. Tickets are available for free, not just for this Saturday, but any Saturday here at the Super Series. Get here for a pre-Christmas party. Dartshop.tv, the place to get tickets. Of course, watching from home is also free, like you're doing right now. Sporty Stuff TV, the place to watch that in the UK, and YouTube worldwide as well. So one match down, James Richardson beating David Cameron 4-3, and Andy Jenkins against Josh Payne is about to get underway in the company of our commentary team, Matthew Edgar and Henry Deacon.
Thank you very much, Chris. That's game 2 of our evening session as Andy Jenkins, the self-proclaimed King of Caution, gets his campaign underway. He takes on Josh Payne, who we saw on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. Got close to qualifying for Saturday night. How do you think he would have spent the last 24 hours or so?
Can I say eating? I expect that he'd gone out and eat some. He's a big lad, isn't he? And he loves his food. But besides that, I think Josh would have been the sort of person that will just go away from this and not really worry too much about how he's got into the situation he's in. He'll just look at what's ahead. This is a new start. He's on 0 points like everybody else is in this situation. Josh is the favourite to win this group. And personally, I agree with that. I think Josh is the likely winner of this group.
He takes on Andy Jenkins, who's had some success on the seniors circuit. And whilst we've got a couple of minutes to talk, let's have a little chat about how things are going that way. I know you've been involved in a few events there. Andy's been playing really well in the qualifiers for the World Championships. Currently 4th in that particular order of merit to get to the Circus Tavern. Lost out in a final to Michael Huntley. And the quality we've seen all together in those seniors events, some really, really good fields. So he's had to battle his way through it.
And like you say, he's 4th in the order of merit at the moment. So as it stands, he's kind of in at the minute. But there is still another event to go at Reading, which will be happening at the end of January. Now, that event has 2 qualifiers attached to it itself. So Andy Jenkins has got a chance to get directly through to that Seniors World Championship. We know it's somewhere he wants to go. He's been attending all the events, all the qualifiers. It's something he wants to do to get in that position to be there. There was also going to be some open events, so there's an opportunity for points. At the moment, he's in a strong position to do so. It's interesting, though, because actually, breathing down his neck is Paul Hogan. Paul Hogan, somebody he's going to possibly play. Well, he is going to play, isn't he? He's going to play him tonight.
And as you see, the players are on the stage. They are ready to go. And both players colour coordinated, wearing the same shirt. Used to be a time where you had to have a home strip and a away strip. I think we spoke about that, didn't we, earlier on this week? Maybe they're playing doubles. Maybe they're playing in an event earlier this season, playing doubles. That's what it looks like, doesn't it? They're all so coordinated. Do apologise for a little bit of a break between matches here. So Josh Payne, the 28-year-old then from Ashford, throwing a 23 gram Red Dragon dart. He's a 2-time PDC Pro Tour event winner. He takes on Jenks, the king of cushion.
Game on.
And of course, he can be as lethal as anyone in that treble department. And if he gets through to Saturday night, he's going to bring
58.
some crowd with him. I've been reliably informed. And you can be a part of it as well. Any Saturday night, you can be here at the Live Lounge in Portsmouth. It's dartshop.tv, your place to be
100.
for those tickets. And whilst it's match 2 of the evening, Matthew Edgar, would you like your Thursday evening tungsten teaser?
140.
I've literally thought of nothing else since the tungsten teaser this morning. And I've been really looking forward to this moment.
58.
This is a good one tonight. It's better than the Scarborough one, trust me. How many nations has been represented
21.
in the Super Series / Live League since its launch in March 2021? How many nations have been represented in this competition since March
80.
2021? Tweet us at MSS Darts with your suggestions and your thoughts and any general comments you want to send in this evening. Do feel free to get in contact with us. We'll try and read as many of the clean and fun ones out as possible because we want you to be a part of the coverage. And many of you might be watching from, of course, over the other side of the Atlantic. Tuning in from Canada and America with a couple of North American players in. A very, very warm welcome to everyone tuning in to us this evening. So Jenkins after 12 darts with the throw, leaving 1-4-2, leaving Payne about to finish. Is he who has control of this opening leg.
Now, there was a little nibble before the off on this one, wasn't there? And that was
60. And he
going to the way of Josh
52.
Payne. People getting involved, playing along at home, jumping on Payne for the victory here.
44. Joshua
Jenkins is first to
160.
have a poke at the double. He misses 2. He'll be expecting more, but should never really expect in this game, as we saw with Graham Usher
100.
and Gary
And he
Stone
require
earlier on in the
8.
week.
Four. Joshua requires
5
60.
darts come and gone, and Josh Payne gets 2 of his own now to break the throw in the opening leg.
Game shot on the first leg.
A very
Josh
unexpected
Payne.
chance, but very well executed by the man in the black Winmore shirt.
Second leg is
just
Josh
thin
to
it
throw
down.
first.
I was
Game
going to say,
on.
I'm not going to ask you for a prediction because I can imagine exactly what you're going to say in response.
$93. $81.
Josh Payne not only favourite to win this
93.
group, he's actually second favourite for the entire week. Or shall I say joint second favourite, because Gary Stone also joins him in that honour.
60.
And Chris Murphy asked me this afternoon, he says, do you see anyone at the moment where you could say they are the favourite or the top contender in order of winning this week. And I said no. And I firmly stand by that at the moment.
59.
After the next game when Paul Hogan takes on James Richardson, we would have seen every player that we are going to see this week. Still none the wiser.
80.
You felt after that first leg, you're wondering whether someone could just up it a little bit. That's exactly what Josh has done, leaving 95 after 12 for a 2-0 lead to back the break-up in the opening leg. He's going to split this, go across for 6, double 16. A nice, clean execution there for Josh Payne to back the break-up in the opener with a hold in the second. He has full command of this match, leading Andy Jenkins by 2 legs to 0.
$81.
Lucky bounce out with the second dart there, just clattered into the first. As we get a look at the overhead shot of the darts going into the board.
115. $83.
Sort of on Tuesday, wasn't it, when Josh Payne just sort of
140.
completely lost the ability to hit a double. He ended up on just 22%, nearly 1 in 5, but yet still had a running average for the day of around about the 90.
134.
Shows what the power scoring weaponry is like when Josh Payne really hits top gear.
90.
It's very relevant because in this game he's had 2 darts at a double and hit 2. Sort of feel if he can start getting it going on that red bit, that he could pull away in this one.
100, and he requires 75.
Start his campaign with a strong couple of points. Tops for Jenkins.
On the third leg.
After missing 5 darts at a double in the opening leg. He needs 1 to wrap up the third.
Fourth leg, it's Josh to throw first.
He's going to need to find a breaker throw from somewhere if he's going to win this one.
$93. $96. $98. $96.
When you look at what this tournament does for particular players, it serves a purpose for both, hasn't it? In different and contrasting ways. Andy Jenkins, a Challenge Tour winner this year, doing well on the seniors circuit. And this competition provides him with the utility and the tools to do well in that way. So Josh Payne, this is a competition to get himself set up and ready for a return to Q School at the beginning of 2023 to regain that tour card, which he lost at the back end of last year.
41.
In this particular battle, he's got 6 darts here from 150 for a 3-1 lead. But we saw in our previous match, David Cameron had the chance to go 3-1 in front. He couldn't take the opportunities and subsequently went on to lose that game against James Richardson, who we will see up next against Paul Hogan.
I think one of the things as well that the Super Series does is it throws up
140.
new rivalries, old rivalries get to be reborn. This is a match that was
76.
first played in 2014 between these two, 8 years ago. So Jenkins needs to find a breaker throw.
Game's on the fourth
There
leg.
it is.
Andy Jenkins.
Puts Andy Jenkins back to favourite for this game. The biggest game the two have played would have came at the UK Open in
Fifth leg, it's Andy to throw
2015.
first.
That went the way of
Game
Josh
on.
Payne, 9-6 in the last 64. All the other games have sort of come either in Players' Championship events or qualifiers for Euro Tour, Grand
58.
Slam, UK Open qualifiers. So the big one, the one that the players remember the most, would have been that UK Open win
81.
for Josh Payne.
Jenks will remember. Doesn't miss a trick.
45.
Does Andy Jenkins? When the first dart goes in like that, there's only ever one outcome.
180.
A 180.
174.
But despite the big score from Payne, Jenkins responded in kind.
96.
He leaves himself on 144, but Jenkins can leave a much more makeable out. But he'll have to find another treble following that first single
84.
five.
Joshua 144.
We're about level here, and Payne has effectively taken the darts. Another one of them would leave double 12.
Game
That could be
on
the moment
fifth
that
leg.
turns the screw in this
Josh
game.
Payne.
Josh Payne finds a 144 checkout to break the throw of Andy Jenkins, to go 3-2 up
Safe leg is
and to
Josh
go win a
throw
leg of the
first.
match. You
Game
felt it was a
on.
game that needed an inspired moment. Josh Payne, right there, right now, has done exactly that. And look at how he follows up for starters in this particular leg.
177.
Josh Payne has woken up.
95.
Don't know about welcome to the party. He's hosting the party at the moment. A maximum of 144 in the last leg. Kicks it off with another maximum visit, really. The 177. He's 3 from 3 on the doubles. Josh Payne is showing us why he is the favourite to win this group.
41.
Sometimes when you are the favourite, you feel a sense of responsibility.
56.
In a pressure to perform kind of way, or?
In a way to set the bar, set the tone.
59.
You want to be the one that produce. You don't want to be installed as the favourite and then come in and not produce. Would have been an argument to have
40.
switched a little bit sooner there for Josh Payne. You saw the deflection of the dart, the angle wasn't suiting. If he'd have gone down to the 18s, he could have left the 170 with a couple of 19s, or he could have left something quite handy.
100.
Might not matter, because he's still got a 20-point buffer plus what is in his hand. He's not going to be happy with what is in his hand. Just 25 points with the 2 darts. Needs a big treble,
82.
finds a big treble. That's a big dart and a big moment there for Josh Payne, because Andy Jenkins was just starting to breathe down his neck.
96. Joshua McGuire 106.
Got a 144 in the previous leg. Is he going to win it on a 106? Double 18 to do it.
70.
That'd have been
And he
some
got
back-to-back
110.
finishes to finish Jenks off. Rocky might be on the canvas, but he couldn't find the answers there. And this could be the knockout blow by Josh Payne if he can pin this double 18
Game
to
shot
win the
and
game by
match.
4 legs to 2.
Josh Payne.
Thanks courtesy to an inspired 144 checkout to break the throw of Andy Jenkins and then win the next one. A fantastic performance from Josh Payne. He beats Andy Jenkins by 4 legs to 2. We're going to take a short break. Upon our return, we're going to see the one man we haven't seen this evening. It's Paul Hogan in action. He takes on James Richardson.
Welcome back. Well, it was Payne for Rocky before the break as Andy Jenkins was beaten by Josh Payne in the second match of the 10 we'll bring you live at the MODUS Super Series this evening. An average of just shy of 90 there for Josh Payne, who hit a 180, but his checkout percentage was what won it 4 out of 5, including that brilliant 144 to break Jenkins in the 5th leg of the match. Certainly the pivotal point of that game, and Josh joins James Richardson in winning his opening game of the evening. Richardson got the better of David Cameron in the first game of the night, getting over the line with this 21. He'd actually hit a 180 to leave it, something of a dead cat shot there to try and put pressure on Cameron. It worked. He missed a dart at double 13, and Richardson cleaned up 13 double 4 to win it. He faces Basingstoke's Paul Hogan back at the Super Series once again. We've seen him many, many times before, but he's only won 1 of the 5 meetings with Richardson in their matches in this event. So can he rectify the record against Richardson? Let's hear from Hoagie now.
Paul, welcome back to the Super Series. You played on the opening night in this venue. What's it like to be back here?
Oh, it's great. First time here, too experienced the stage and the crowd as well. It was great, you know. And I got to the semis, but I lost. Unfortunately, I lost.
How's the form been since we've last seen you in action here?
Up and down a bit, but yeah, I'm starting to get back into it again. Yeah.
Does the tough group on offer tonight actually help you because it gives you a real good competitive match practice?
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's. You know, I mean, they're very good players. You know, got to get my head on for it.
So you've had the taste of the finals before. How much would you like to be back here on Saturday night and sample it again?
I'd love to get back in here. I've just got to try my best each game as it comes. If I get through, it's a bonus. If not, you know, at least I've had a go and tried.
Well, Paul, we wish you all the best tonight. Good luck.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Thank you.
Well, that was Paul Hogan speaking to some guy earlier on this evening, ahead of his game against James Richardson to kick off his campaign. The 59-year-old from Basingstoke, 3-time quarter-finalist at the BDO World Championships, nicknamed Crocodile Dundee, up against him James Richardson, the 48-year-old from Rushden, former PDC World Championship round of 16 participant, was ruthless, who got the better of David Cameron by being ruthless in the latter ends of legs. David Cameron having chances to go 3-1 up, 3-2 up, and then to win the game 4-3. Those opportunities came and went, and Richardson took advantage of them, which is why he is now trying to protect a perfect record.
Throw first.
Although
Game on.
he's only played 1 game so far. However, he is still 100% perfect up against Hogan, who is the last player to get his campaign underway for the evening. He played on opening night here at the MODUS Super Series when we launched at the beginning of September at the Live Lounge. He got to the semi-finals that night before being eliminated up against him Richardson, who played the first full week and gave us one of the most interesting moments of the Super Series so far, shall we say, when the 180 came clattering, bouncing in and bouncing out. It was almost like a squash shot to a certain extent, the way it was bouncing around.
Yeah, I put that in my top 3 moments, didn't I, of 2022 so far. There is still a couple of weeks left, so that could be knocked out of position, but it's going to take something special to knock that one out.
Hey, T1.
I mentioned Paul Hogan, those appearances at Lakeside. Paul Hogan actually came very, very close to ending one of the iconic Lakeside runs, which was the winning run of Glen Durrant. He actually missed match darts, if you remember, in one of the early rounds, which would have stopped Glen from going on one of those runs to the title.
100.
I feel like the mediator between you and Glenn in this commentary box.
Well, you require 120.
So then 120 for Hogan. That might not be a bad lie.
44.
I say as he clatters into the
James
single
require
five.
130.
So Richardson returns for the 130 to break the throw in the opener. Moves across to try and find an angle to get to the treble above it, and he couldn't quite do that. So Hogan
90.
will return for the 76 to win the opening leg with a hold. Double 8. And it was this particular double, which I'm sure he's glad that we've reminded him
James
of.
require 40.
Paul Hogan will have to stand back and watch James Richardson attempt to break the throw.
No score.
He's getting further and further
He
away.
requires 16.
So same situation for James. He'll stand
James
at the
on
back
the
of the
first
stage and
leg.
watch Paul Hogan
Paul
convert
Hogan.
the holder throw. And I say that because these two have played each other many times, but
Second
ironically,
against James
the
to throw
situation of
first.
standing
Game
behind
on.
the player and watching that player throw darts to win a leg is something they're not overly familiar with, because a lot of their darts and their head-to-head
100.
actually happened in a certain strange period of time that we don't really talk about too much in the modern day, and there was playing darts against each other via a mobile phone.
180.
And
81.
how that concept has grown, and how this concept has grown, and how the interest in this leg is beginning to grow and grow.
140.
Because obviously that was the very early evolution of what you're seeing now, wasn't it, in terms of the Super Series? It was that
42.
home period of darts during that COVID time when players would dial into a video call and you would watch the players playing
60.
from home, all the various sort of home tours and things that was going on at that period. And that's when these two have played their most darts in 2020 against each other. And
60. We require
only once can we
121.
see that they've actually met outside of here in a face-to-face environment, which was in the Scottish Open in 2020.
25.
The last 16 game that went the way of Paul Hogan. And I dare say, realistically, that's the only relevant form we've got, because it is so different playing in a face-to-face
83.
environment
We
compared to
require
an online
96.
version.
Double 18.
Game
Oh,
shown the
beautiful
second
for
leg.
Paul Hogan.
Paul
14
Hogan.
darter, 96 out. Leads James Richardson 2-0. The man who got the better of David Cameron in the first game finds
So
himself
it's Paul to
chasing
throw
in his
first.
second
Game
against
on.
Hogan. Well, they're going back to the topic of darts on the internet. Do you ever get the Skype music out your head? Well, Paul Hogan is now hitting
180.
maximums for fun. That's a second max of the match. He's averaging 98.5. Stratospheric stuff for Hogan.
100.
And when we
59.
mentioned at the start of the show and earlier in the week, and we bigged up this group, and we said how everyone's in contention, and you mentioned as well that sometimes we over-egg it a little bit and we use those sort
81.
of expressions a little bit too often. Just to give you a little bit of context to what you are seeing here, Paul Hogan is the biggest outsider in this group according to the bookies.
95.
And he is 2-0 up, averaging 95.
$140. We require 167.
Got 6 darts and 167, so didn't have to go for the bullseye if you got the requisite trebles.
131.
And the thing you've got to admire the most about this performance is how measured it is from Hogan. Sometimes a player can play like this and look as if he's playing the game of his life, whereas Hogan just looks like
We
he's
require 36.
sat in his front room with the fire pit on and just so relaxed in the process.
Game shown the
So
third
relaxed,
leg.
so cool,
Paul
so
Hogan.
good. He leads 3-0.
Fourth leg, it's James to
And
throw
if
first.
Richardson
Game on.
is going to win this game, he's going to have to take it all the way.
100. 100. Hold on. What's going on? Sorry. Go on, James. $96. 140.
Just having a look through the historical data. And the amount of games James Richardson's played,
100.
I can't find a situation where he's actually recovered from being 3-0 down to win the match. He's been on the receiving end of it a couple of times. Richie Burnett in 2021.
45.
Scott Marsh earlier this year and Simon Stevenson earlier this year, where he's been 3-0 up and lost the game. I can't find any positive record where he's
57.
been 3-0 down and turned it around.
You know what they say about records and needing to be broken?
60. James, you've got 148.
148 for Richardson to try and take the first step towards recovery.
100.
Tunley's on 48, but can Hogan win it in style on his 156? His prolific treble hitting in this game would gave you the sense he would have had half a chance, but to get his first leg on the board in this game, Richardson wants tops. Richardson gets tops, and his hopes are still alive in this game. However, it is Hogan who has the darts in leg 5 to get the job done.
Throw first.
All comebacks need to start somewhere, just one leg at a time. James Richardson needs to win all 4. Well, he now needs to win all 3. 25% of the job has been done.
190.
And now we've seen Paul Hogan, or we are seeing Paul Hogan. We would have seen every single player this week. So, who wins it?
41.
Hello, James.
123.
Okay, now I'll give you the answer. I was just wondering whether Richardson could have teased the 9. As the week goes on,
140.
the case for Gary Stone is getting stronger and stronger and stronger.
60.
Yeah, it's a fair shout, really, when you look at the... Both ends have been powerful for him. The 180 hitting also combined with the big finishes. 2 things you want to be really good at consistently over a week. James Richardson looks for the Della, the 138. Leaves it on quite nice after 12 darts. Leaves himself tops. And he's going to have to break the throw twice.
James require 40.
If he's going to win this game. This will be one of those breaks.
Game's on the 5th leg.
Digging
James
deep, isn't
Richardson.
He's got an opportunity here to get a record broken.
James to throw first. Game on.
Won't like to hear about the amount of games that we've said that he's played in this format, and he's never been able to turn a game around. That could be because maybe he's never been in this position too often. Maybe he's never gone 3-0 down. He certainly is in this situation, or he
21.
was. He's brought 2 of those legs back. He's halfway to completing the task. Paul Hogan is not going to roll over.
Hogan's still averaging just under 93. Richardson's just brought his level up to 86 now in this game. And so these two are just beginning to meet a little bit more evenly now in terms of the averages. And if you look at the Scoring power pack kit.
96.
A lot of those 8-ton plus scores for Richardson have come over the last couple of legs.
140.
Those are the averages in a
100.
bit more of a descriptive sense.
James, you've got 148.
148. And you sense maybe it would have had to have gone because you give Paul Hogan half a chance here on
We
the
require
101 to get the job done. Seal a 4-2 victory. Gonna get a dart, a double 18 to get the game won, to get the job done, and to inflict a first defeat upon James Richardson in this group. Paul Hogan kicks off his campaign with a 4-2 win and a 93 average. A real impressive performance. It just lays down a marker to the rest of the field. And so Hogan is off and running with a win. We're going to take a short break. Upon our return, two players yet to taste victory here this evening. Someone will get that W when David Cameron takes on Andy Jenkins.
This is the MODUS Super Series. $180.
All that, and it's free to watch around the world on YouTube. Viewers here in the UK on Sporty Stuff TV, and if you can get to Portsmouth on a Saturday night, it's free to attend as well. You could be in those seats behind me down in the arena here. Tickets available from dartshop.tv. Get them booked, get it off the bucket list. Well, you could be in for a tungsten treat if some of the performances that we've seen so far are repeated on Saturday, particularly that one from Paul Hogan there, a 4-2 success against James Richardson. Raced into a 3-leg lead in it, an average just shy of 94 and 4 out of 7 on the doubles. Hogan looking very, very good indeed in his first encounter of the evening. And we're into the 4th game now of the night. It's a meeting between the only 2 players yet to record a win so far. The pair of them, Andy Jenkins and David Cameron, had their moments in their opening matches. Cameron with this nice 108 checkout against James Richardson, but ultimately went on to lose the game. As for Andy Jenkins, well, for him, this 75 was a brief moment of brilliance despite defeat to Josh Payne. It is the first meeting between the pair. Andy Jenkins coming into the action this evening, but David Cameron, well, he led Group A at the end of Tuesday's play. Lost his first match on Monday, then went on to win 6 in a row, but now he's lost his last 7. So can Excalibur end that troubling trend, or will Rocky land another blow? Let's find out.
Thank you very much, Chris. A first meeting between these two, but you might see this pair at the World Seniors Darts Championship. We're definitely going to see David Cameron there as the winner of the World Masters in May. But Andy Jenkins has put himself in a really good position to qualify for that event, which takes place in February at the Circus Tavern. Tickets for it, incidentally, are available. That is via dartshop.tv. It's the same place you can get your tickets for every single Saturday night final here at the MODUS Super Series. And we were scouring through Andy's statistics when it came to the qualifying events for the World Seniors, and he came very close, didn't he? He lost out in a qualification final to Michael Huntley not so long ago.
Yeah, knocking on the door. It was
Okay,
6-4
David
on
to
that
throw
occasion to
first.
Michael Huntley. Michael Huntley, someone
Game
we've seen
on.
in the Super Series just a couple of weeks prior to him going and making that qualification. It was actually Paul Nicholson who was alongside me for that campaign, and he was saying that he met Michael Huntley at an
100.
exhibition not too far before that, and he was speaking quite highly of him on that occasion. And rightly so, as he's
134.
gone and booked himself a place in the Seniors World Championship at the expense of Andy Jenkins so far. There are still opportunities for Andy to get himself into that event. There are a couple more qualifiers, and he's also sat quite pretty on the Order of Merit system. Something Paul Hogan, who we've just seen in the last
93.
game, beating James Richardson, is also sat quite pretty on. He is just a couple of places outside of the qualification. So it's going to be a very interesting day in Reading in a couple of weeks' time.
45.
Last weekend of January, the final qualifiers for the World Seniors Championship, which will set the field for the event which takes place on the 9th
40.
of February at the iconic Circus Tavern.
We talk about players breathing down the neck of those qualifying places. We've got Jim McEwen, who actually won a week a
60.
couple of weeks ago here at the Super Series. Reggie Howson, Robert Rickwood, all regulars down here.
140. David, you record 116. 15 scored, yeah.
Well, still on. He leads 101, so 51 for the Bull.
57. And he required 94. 3 scored. 31. David required 59.
So for 1-0 lead, David Cameron wants tops.
Game
gets
on the
tops,
first leg.
and leads
David
Rocky
Cameron.
by a leg to nil. Cameron, who perhaps would have felt he should have won that opening game, had opportunities to open up a 3-1 lead, then in the subsequent leg next, a 3-2 lead, and then had darts to go on and win the match.
140.
He carved himself out a match start opportunity. Missed that one. I was only 20% on the doubles in that game. He had plenty of opportunities, like you mentioned. One thing we do know, though, is
45.
at the end of this game, one of these players is going to win, one's going to lose, which means we will have, after 4 matches, 4 different winners. Isn't this group just panning out exactly as we expected? It's going to be tight, it's going to be bunched.
Did you order an abacus in the Black Friday sales?
60.
We've already got the mythical Super Series abacus, haven't we? It comes out normally around about
100.
the mid part of day 2.
$140.
Now, these two have played in a qualifier in 2008. It was in the
100.
Las Vegas Desert Classic.
$100, and he requires 76.
The Las Vegas Desert Classic, that was a now debunked major event that used to take place obviously in Las Vegas, and there used to be like 4 days of qualifying
36.
to get through to the main
David, you
event, which
require
would happen
156
at the end of the week, and these two clashed as part of that qualifying criteria. 2008, it was a game that went the way of Andy Jenkins. He won that one 5-0.
and he required 40. Games on the second leg. Andy
There'll be
Jenkins.
no score to nil in this one because it's 1 leg apiece. And this is what we said about old rivalries being resumed. I wonder if the players remember that situation. I'm sure David Cameron will remember the situation because you tend to remember any time you lose a game to nil.
137.
But I just wondered whether something's just clicked for David Cameron. He's seen a lot of the lakeside over a number of years, but I just feel that he's playing the best darts of his career right now. Going to play at Ali Pali in a few weeks on the Seniors World Masters,
58.
making waves on the CDC circuits as well. Maybe he's blossoming at this stage of his career.
25.
You suggesting that David Cameron's like a fine wine?
Very fine wine. Very, very good darts. And that was a very confident dart from David Cameron because he needed to hear that call from Owen Binks. Otherwise, he would have left himself on a bogey number.
126.
I think he was just confident in the distance that he's already got in this leg. Not needing to use the 19 road.
Yes.
Obviously, if Andy Jenkins was a bit closer to him, he'd have started on the 19s to try and leave the ball or the 6. In this situation, he just gets to set it up however he wants, and he's picked himself
55.
the 16.
32.
So just 12 darts.
Games on the third leg. David
The
Cameron.
man described as a fine wine, the way he's aging. Just
Well, I guess Andy to throw first.
going through the gears here, isn't he?
He finds ways of winning darts matches at the minute, and he's doing it in impressive style, 96.5 average.
137.
I just wonder whether he's going to be one of those players, a bit like Alexander Merckx a few weeks ago, a bit like Justin Smith a few weeks ago, that once you get into Saturday night, because he's used to that feeling of success, that maybe he could be the one that comes through the field.
57.
I think that's Saturday. For players, the hardest part is those mini groups at the start. Trying to navigate through those mini groups, because if you lose that first game, it just changes the whole vibe.
60.
Because here, the panic doesn't set in straight away. You lose your first game Saturday night.
85.
And you're frantically looking at things.
I don't think realistically with Group B there is too much panic that really ever sets in. We've seen players lose all of their matches on the opening day and still be able to qualify. The reason for that is the criteria. It is 3 places from the 5 players that are playing. A 60% chance of going through.
$43, and he requires 52.
So he's got the luxury of time to level this game up at 2 apiece, Andy Jenkins.
But
he only needs the 2 darts to make it 2-2. And it is Desmond between David Cameron and Andy Jenkins.
5th leg, it's David to throw first.
Well, it's all 2s, isn't it? 2 darts thrown at a double, 2 darts hit, 2 legs.
2 players.
2 180s. Back on you again now. You need something else with 2.
45.
2 straight darts and 1 flyer. Does that work? No. Is this turn number 2 to the board? Shall we just move on as quickly as possible? Because we probably dragged it on for much longer than we should have.
59.
Yeah, we're a bit stretched now, aren't we? Speaking of 2, 2 is not what you want to leave at the end of a combination. We spoke about this afternoon.
140.
In that situation, the switches to the 17s, not to the 19s. Because the 2 on the end is a lot more problematic than putting a 4 on the end for the simple with the breakdown and not having the need to switch, and certainly still be 9 darts away from winning the leg.
60.
Incidentally, we've had 1 or 2 people comment on our tungsten teaser. Thank you to everyone who has. And if you want to, it's at MSS Darts on Twitter. The question is, how many nations have been represented in the Super Series / Live League since the 15th of March 2021 when we set foot in Southampton?
11. David, you require 161.
Talk more about that in the next leg, because Cameron requires 161 after 12 to open up a 3-2 lead to get his first points on the board. The winner, the victor, will get their first points on the board.
$24. David, you require 114.
Treble 18. We're left of a dart at tots, but Jenkins is back in this leg. Just waiting to see the real Andy Jenkins come to the fore here.
64. David, you require 56.
A bit of a struggle for him this evening, and he could find himself 3-2 down in this match. If Cameron can convert this tops,
60.
It won't go. And in Andy's previous game against Josh Payne, it was a 1-4-4 finish, which kind of turned the game against him. But he could have done something likewise to have gone 3-2 up against the darts. But the 1-5-7 won't go. And so Cameron on tops for 3-2.
125. David, you require 40. Game shot on the 5th leg. David Cameron
puts himself just 1 leg away. You can see the disappointment on Andy Jenkins. The reason for that was he's thrown 21 darts in that leg. Didn't even get himself a dart at the double. Be disappointed with that. That will come from those two
77.
low-scoring visits he had. One of them will just registering 11 points. This one is hanging finely in the balance.
100.
Well, the games we've seen this
92.
evening, they've all gone pretty close. 4-3 in the opener, 4-2 in the subsequent two. 4-2 is the biggest margin of victory, of course, we're going to get now, the score being 3-2. But it just paints the story
60.
that we were perhaps expecting at the beginning of the evening, where it's going to be difficult to prize these players apart, and it may be the odd moment here and
80.
there that separates them.
I don't really see at the moment
180.
big deciding, separating factors. Everyone is sort of playing to
60.
type.
David, you reckon 161.
Although that big 180 there from David Cameron, that was a deciding factor. That was a separating factor in this leg.
45. 50. David, you reckon 116.
David Cameron becomes strong favourite all of a sudden to get this one wrapped up. Should get match darts. Missed a match start to beat James Richardson in his opening
42.
game.
And he reckon 142.
92 in that one. Should be getting a match start on this visit with a
89.
74.
David, you
Might
reckon
get
74.
1 it is.
34.
And another match
And he
start comes
require
and goes
53.
for David Cameron. Andy Jenkins will only get 1 himself after missing the big 13. Going to be at tops.
33.
And now David Cameron, for the
David,
first
you
time
require
of the day,
40.
will visit the board with 3 in hand to get his first 2 points of Group B.
20.
But the opportunity
And he
comes and
required
goes, and so
20.
Jenkins returns to the board for that target, which Cameron's just missed, to take us to a final leg. 5-5.
Game shown the sick flag.
And we will
Jenkins.
go to a decider once again. Both of David Cameron's matches tonight have gone the way of 4-3. In which direction
Seventh and final
this
leg
one
is
will
David
go,
to throw first.
we're still to find out. But in both matches so far this evening, Cameron has had match darts to go on and win it.
95.
Can he claim the 2 points this time round?
60.
I think missing a dart at the end of a combination shot is one thing, but when you miss 3 clean darts at a double, David Cameron would have been expecting now to be back in the back room with 2 points banked.
60.
We mentioned earlier that he hasn't had a lot of success in this situation. He lost a 3-all tie earlier to James Richardson. He lost 2 earlier in the week. He's only got through this situation once before. These sort of legs
140.
where it's all or nothing. No more lives left.
83.
Well, this could have just opened the door right up here for Andy Jenkins. He
46.
had to think that through. Smart play from Cameron. The 25 leaves him on 160. And Jenkins, look at this.
140.
That would have been some time for his
David,
first 180. The 140
160.
may do. Leaves him on 97 if he returns. If he comes back, he will come back.
100.
to get
and he
his
was going
first win
97.
of the group. And he's going to get 2 darts at tots to do it.
Game
He
shot
only
on the
needs the one.
match.
And Andy Jenkins comes
Jenkins.
up with his best darts in the deciding leg to get the better of David Cameron by 4 legs to 3, who in both of his matches so far this evening has had darts to win, hasn't been able to convert them. And so it's 2 defeats on 2 for David Cameron. Andy Jenkins gets his name on the board in the points column, courtesy of that last leg success. We're going to take a short break. Upon our return, it's our middle match. Josh Payne v Paul Hogan.
Well, it is a rocky road now for David Cameron. The Canadian has now lost his last 8 matches this week at the MODUS Super Series after that defeat at the hands of Andy Jenkins. A second 4-3 loss of the evening for the World Seniors Master. Won that title earlier this year, and as the boys in commentary were saying, Jenkins hoping to make it to join Cameron at the World Seniors Darts Championship himself, and he's won their first meeting. The checkout percentage of difference there, 4 out of 6 for the former World Championship semi-finalist. 97 checkout, the high for him. He picks up his first points of the night. The next match features 2 players who both won their opening games this evening, as Josh Payne goes head-to-head with Paul Hogan, Both won with very decent displays as well. Payne landing this tide-turning 1-4-4 checkout against Andy Jenkins to win the 5th leg, going on to win that game 4-2. And Hogan got the same scoreline. Some brilliant scoring from him. That 96 finish a highlight as well. He actually hit 16 three-figure scores in 6 legs of darts in that victory against James Richardson. So 4 players have won 1. 1 has lost 2. Who will be the first to win 2? Let's find out with Matt and Henry.
Let's get into it, Murph. Paul Hogan up against Josh Payne then. This is our halfway game of the evening here at the Super Series. There's been a little bit of a change in the bookmakers' odds, but when I looked at earlier on this evening, you couldn't split these two. Payne up against Hogan. Wonder who's going to trouser the 2 points, Matthew Edgar.
Put me under the bus now, haven't you? We've done it to each other throughout the day. 2 players at different ends of their career, really, aren't they? When you look at where they're going and what they're doing. Josh Payne, just 28 years old, despite the fact
Josh to throw first.
Spent quite a lot of his time on the PDC Pro Tour. Somewhere we've never really seen Paul Hogan go to. And extremely unlikely now that we're going to see Paul Hogan get onto the PDC Pro Tour. He did have a go at Q School this past year, but was quite a little bit away from that. And with the birth of the Seniors Tour, you'd expect to see Paul Hogan more venturing down that road.
We actually had a question in from Lee Seymour on Twitter, and do get in touch with us. We'll try and answer your questions at MSS Darts. You can also tweet us directly at H_Deacon at the Edgar 501. And he said this: do you think if Paul Hogan ever won a PDC Tour card, how would he be able to hold his own against the best players in the world? Because we've seen him have deep runs at the UK Open in the past. How do you think he would have got on full time with the PDC 128?
I'm going to give you 2 answers. I'm going to give you one answer, which is now, and say if he was to do it now, I don't expect that he'd do as well. Because one thing that we see with Paul Hogan now is a little bit of a lack of consistency. That will come with age. But a few years ago, different story. I actually did a video around about the UK Open time, looking at the UK Open qualifiers, and actually put Paul Hogan down as
138.
the best UK Open qualifier there ever was. The most prolific qualifier, played in the most events, and had some good runs in that event as well. I remember beating Gary Anderson when Gary Anderson was the world champion.
97. We require 68.
He almost, like we said earlier, ended the run of Glenn Durrant at the Lakeside. When Glenn Durrant picked up the hat-trick of the Lakeside titles.
Joshua require 170.
Missed match darts, I believe it was at the double 18. I believe it was.
40. We require 8.
2 4s for Hogan.
Games on the first
take the opening leg in 16 against the darts. And I think this is kind of the mean level we're going to see from Paul Hogan all night. In his
second against Paul
opening success against James Richardson, he averaged 93.72, got 6 180s, and 4 from 7 on the doubles.
122.
Yeah, and to put a figure on that question of could he have competed? I mean, yes, he could have competed, but I think he could have done more than competed. If he went at the right time, I think Paul Hogan could have reached the top 32.
180. $59. 59.
Well, you caught up with Paul Hogan
92.
before the
140.
evening started, and you asked him how his form is. And he said it's been going up and up and up, and then sometimes
100.
down, and that's what we say about the consistency that's come with age. But tonight, he is certainly on the up. Beat James Richardson, the ADC European champion, 93.72 average, 4-2. 101 checkout for the match, 4 from 7 on the outer ring.
Game show the
And
second
now-
leg. Paul Hogan.
It's fair to say he's beating up the group favourite Josh Payne.
And that all won
Third leg is
in
Josh to throw
30 darts, so an average of 100.2 for Paul Hogan. Solid stuff for Crocodile
42.
Dundee via Basingstoke.
I seem to remember actually at the UK Open when it was in Minehead, didn't he do a walk-on with a giant blow-up
95.
crocodile? Your face suggests you haven't seen this yet. So we know what we're going to be doing in the next break.
96.
An inflatable crocodile.
100.
I'll tell you what I would have said in response to that.
60.
See you later, alligator. Now,
100.
you didn't get the second treble there, Hogan, but the approach there should have been down for the 19s of the first dart, which is what Payne does here on a similar range at 303.
133.
And so it gives him the opportunity on the big fish to get a leg on the board.
$60. Josh, you're 170. $94. Paul, you're 146.
He'll be happy with that lead considering the first 2 darts, but he won't be happy with the fact that he's got to watch Paul Hogan throw at double 13 for a 146 and a second break of throw.
Paul Hogan.
Well, can I revive that question when I said that actually I think now if
Fourth leg, it's
Paul
Paul
Hogan
to
was
throw
to get a
first.
tour card, I
Game
don't
on.
think he'd be as successful. Can I review the answer? Because he is averaging 100 here. He is 3-0 up against Josh Payne.
137.
And like you mentioned earlier, he's doing it as if he's a man stood in his living room with his slippers on a
60.
Thursday evening, just once again becoming living room world champion, which is the easiest title to win in darts. I am
140.
multiple-time living room champion. Beat Phil Taylor in the final a few times.
Rumour has it was the only trophy you won in your career, Matt.
I've also won the raffle.
96.
Were you the only entrant?
60.
No, it was my son was in it as well, and he won it a few times. Just kept redrawing it. He wasn't really paying attention, so
137. Well, you've got
I
164.
cashed in.
$58.
He's himself on 106 to seal a 4-0 victory, average of 99.89, 306 on the doubles, and that incredible 146 finish.
100. Well, you're 106.
Payne finds a ton, but Hogan now with the chance to see this out to zip.
He took out a 101 for the match when he took on James Richardson. He
Game
now adds a
shot and the
106 for the
Paul
match.
Hogan.
On top of the 146 finish as well for Paul Hogan, who registers the first 100 average of the day and the first 100 average in Group B. That is setting down a marker and certainly is going to look very healthy when we take a look at the league table and look at those legs columns. We've got, coming up next, James Richardson versus Andy Jenkins.
Welcome back. A perfect start for Paul Hogan here at the MODUS Super Series in Group B, and some brilliant stats in that previous match. Matthew Edgar, much to wax lyrical about there for Crocodile Dundee.
Pretty much every stat, wasn't it? I mean, the big thing for me, though, was those finishes. That 1-4-6 finish, it came at the perfect time, and it gave him that breaker throw. And he's wrapped both his games up with big finishes, 101 and 106 now, to get those wrapped up. The doubles are going well. Combine that with the score. Everything just going right from 100 average as well. First one of the day when we look across all the darts we've seen today and we've seen this week. He is looking like a contender, not just here, but for the whole week.
Yeah, we'll see the league table for the first time. Hogan obviously sitting at the top of it, being the only player to have won both of his first 2 matches. Who is his closest threat in the early signals from this group?
Well, it's pretty much exactly what I said would happen at the very start, that everyone's going to start beating each other and no one's going to end up on 0 points. We see David Cameron at the moment in that position. I expect him to come off of there. He's had opportunities, he's mismatched darts, he's getting himself there, he will get over the line at some point. This is going to bunch up quite a lot, and who's going to close them in? It could be anybody.
You say no one will finish on 0 points, but are you now worried for David Cameron? He's lost his last 8 matches after a brilliant start this week.
I was worried from him at the end of Wednesday, and I mentioned that at the start of today, that he's got question marks hanging over him. He's come so close. He's got himself within a match dart twice, and I think that's just enough to suggest he's going to get over that line at some point in the near future. But there was question marks hanging over him, and it's on the outer ring. 19% on Wednesday, and he's not much better today.
Yeah, that last defeat came at the hands of Andy Jenkins in the previous match. Jenkins, we can see, getting the better of Cameron again in the last leg decider, as Matt mentioned. He's going to play James Richardson now. Now, surprisingly, this pair have never met at the MODUS Super Series, despite playing in it very often. And interestingly as well, Matt, Andy Jenkins has a very healthy head-to-head record, 5-1 in his favour from when they were both on the PDC tour.
I think the thing with that, though, is we can cast that back so far. We're talking this rivalry, shall we say, started 10, 11 years ago. And I think when we're looking at form from there, these aren't the same players that was playing 11 years ago. A lot would have changed in their DNA and in how they approach the game. And I think we can dismiss some of that form. And I think we've got to look at what's happening tonight.
Well, let's have a look at what does happen in this next game. Matt will go and join Henry for Ruthless against Rocky. Let's get back to the hockey.
Thanks, Chris. And so we enter the second half of our evening session here at the MODUS Super Series, the midway point of the opening night in Group B. And already you sense this is a big match for Andy Jenkins to get on the winning trail against James Richardson, who got the better of David Cameron in that decider 4-3 before then going on the wrong end of a full 2 defeat to Paul Hogan, who, as the guys on the balcony rightly mentioned,
James
is the man to beat at the top of the pile. Jenkins has shown glimmers, has shown moments. It just hasn't quite happened consistently as of yet. Well, as for James, he took advantage of opportunities in that game against David Cameron, whilst in that match against Paul Hogan, lost out 4-2, but Hogan put in a 93 average in that game. Richardson 86. There was an 88 in that first game against David Cameron. We think possibly now every player's played a couple of matches at least. You kind of can get a gauge as to where they're at now.
95.
Yeah, and I said to Chris Murphy, I think that's the gauge that we've got to go on. I think if we look at the head-to-head stats, this actually dates back to 2011, 11 years ago.
83.
Back in the old days where PDC used to do a pro tour over in Benidorm.
100.
Oh, that was a good year to join the tour. That was actually the year I joined the tour, 2011. I believe James joined the same year as well. And it used to happen over in January, actually,
60.
over in Benidorm. And I remember in between games, myself and Prakash Jiwa, we used to share a room together, and we used to go off and sit on the balcony and just overlook over the sea and the rock in between matches. That's how darts should be played.
140 and a 125.
Yeah, we should have the Benidorm Masters every January. See if we can get the comms gig on that.
53. James, you require 57.
I mean, not all their meetings have been as glamorous. They've also played each other in Wigan, in Coventry. Now they're playing each other in Portsmouth.
Game shot in the first leg.
Definitely the most glamorous.
James Richardson.
James Richardson takes a 1-0 lead against Andy Jenkins.
Second leg is Andy to throw first.
21 data there for Ruthless. Both players will be looking to improve upon that as the game goes on.
99.
And of course, I want you to get involved on Twitter as well all evening long. The tungsten teaser has been set for the evening. We've had a few guesses on that. There's a few that's not too far away. And the question is this: how many nations have been represented
96.
in the history of the Live League / Super Series? Do get your tweets in. We'll talk about that. But we'll also have a little bit of darts chat here and there, because Richardson won up on Jenkins, and for Rocky, it's not quite happened on the Oki so far this evening.
100.
It's been a rocky sailing for him so far. But James Richardson has sort of come in and out of form a little bit as well throughout
60.
the evening. It's what makes for a very interesting, dramatic situation, doesn't it? Because actually the best leg we've really seen from Andy Jenkins in terms of conviction was that last leg when it was 3-all with David Cameron.
81, and he requires 68.
Double 4. Now down to 2-2.
64.
To level up at 1-1. Does it go? And so Richardson gets the opportunity. And 1-3-1 to obtain the break and to open up a 2-leg buffer. That's not going to happen on this occasion.
91,
So
and he requires 4.
he leaves it handy on top with Jenkins down on the precarious double 2.
Game show on the second leg.
And he finds a way
Jenkins
into the doubles bed.
And that was, if you look at the angle that dart went into the double 2, that's because he had to go up and over the top. And by doing that, he needed a bit more of an arch in the dart, and that's a very good dart there from Andy Jenkins.
Well, I have these side-on angles here, Matt. I wonder if you can just talk us through the two respective throws, beginning as Andy Jenkins makes his way up to the Oki.
Well, there's a couple of technical things you'd have a little look at. James Richardson, for me, tonight is just a little bit early with that release, a little bit floaty, which is something we don't normally see. We normally see quite a lot of conviction and penetration within the throw. When we look at the throw of Andy Jenkins, you'll see here a jolt in the lead shoulder. If you just watch that line,
140,
which comes across, there's quite a lift within that. That's why he needs that really sort of aggressive snap. Few things that he's got to get into sync. If he doesn't get them right, we get that. We get the darts going sort of on that oval. And I say that as I'm drawing my hand around, like everyone can see the shape I'm drawing around the board.
Mysterious voices in the background of your TV screen.
87. James, you require 38.
So Richardson is going to split this time.
Game shown the third.
And a decision proved worthwhile as he gets the double 16. First start in hand to lead 2-1.
Four flag, it's Andy to throw first. $45.
It's just been a game so far of ebbs and flows from both players.
134. $125.
A game that's there for the taking. We mentioned earlier about someone who could just string together sort of 12 darts that overlaps across two legs, where you end a leg well and then you start the next one well. That is the sort of thing that this game will be decided on. If someone can just spring that little pattern of play.
45. $99.
99 leaves Jenkins on 92 to level up at 2-2. Richardson looking to riposte.
126, and he recorded 92.
So 72 left.
60. James
So
require
back for
56.
double 16 if he returns, because Richardson should get 2 darts here at tops for a break of throw and a 3-1 lead.
16.
But the opportunity comes and goes,
32.
and so Jenkins returns for the double 16 to get it done in 16. But the opportunity comes and goes.
That first dart was a hindrance there for
required
Andy
40.
Jenkins. The second one clattered into it and went wide. The third one clattered into it and went inside. He's welcome
20.
back for
And it
3
requires
darts now
16.
at a clean open target. Just slightly north. He's at the double 8. So there's a little regrip. Make sure he doesn't leave things to chance. He's getting closer.
No score. James required 20.
Who will close out this leg?
Game show on the 4 flag. James Richardson.
James Richardson gets there in the end. It's the breaker throw that he'd have wanted. And I suppose this just comes down to what we've been saying all along. It's all about winning. It doesn't matter
Game on.
in the style in which he do so. As long as you get over that line. And he got over the line in the end. He got the breaker throw that he set out to get.
But how often do we see a player break the throw and then start off with a troubleless visit? He's got away with it on this occasion with Jenkins only kicking off with a 40.
60.
It all just seems a little bit soft for me today for James Richardson. The throw's just coming through a little bit soft, and the grip in the hand. I just saw quite a bit of wiggle there, and the point moving in the hand just shows that the grip is just so soft.
100.
This all seems a little bit light for James tonight. Maybe he didn't put
23.
enough chicken in the curry this afternoon.
Well, yeah, he had too much chicken in the curry.
100.
But that ton leaves him on 181 after 12. He's going to get 6 to
100.
seal a 4-1 victory. It would be for his second victory in 3. Now he's either side of that 4-2 defeat to Paul
93.
Hogan. And so 88 upon his return to get the job done.
41. James require 88.
To make it 4 points from a possible 6.
Game shot out
James
of match.
Richardson polishes
James
that off in the end. We
Richardson.
said it would be sort of a little string of good darts that will do it, and that's what did it for him in the end there. James Richardson wraps it up on the 88 finish, and James Richardson, 2 points. That is 4 points on the board from a possible 6. We will see James Richardson one more time tonight, but before then we've got a couple of games coming your way. One of them is David Cameron against Josh Payne.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where James Richardson has just joined Paul Hogan in winning a couple of games this evening. Richardson beating Andy Jenkins 4-1, very convincing that from Ruthless. It was the opposite of that from Andy Jenkins on the doubling department, only 1 from 11 attempts for Rocky, who is beaten by Richardson in their first meeting at the MODUS Super Series. Well, let's take a look at the league table. As I said, Richardson joining Hogan in top spot on 4 points, but of course Hogan does have a game in hand, having won both of his matches so far. Josh Payne and Andy Jenkins with 1 each, and David Cameron yet to get off the mark. And the next match is David Cameron against Josh Payne, the pair of them playing for the 4th time this week, having both participated in Group A. And David Cameron actually leads the head-to-head 2-1 in their meetings this week at the Super Series, despite this run of 8 straight defeats that he finds himself on at the moment. Cameron getting the better of Payne in that previous clip there on Monday. Josh, though, took out this 104 to get his revenge when they did battle yesterday. So it is Josh Payne against David Cameron, who's looking to put an end to this run that he's on, this losing streak. Can he do it, or will Josh inflict more pain on the Canadian?
It will be interesting to see, that is for sure. And in the 3 battles they had this week, David Cameron won their, I suppose we'll call it mini-series, by 2 games to 1. David Cameron winning on Monday and Tuesday, of course, with a 0 out of 5 card on Wednesday. No surprise, Josh Payne won that one 4-1 with a 94.2 average. Is it hard to kind of guess what's going to happen in this one? Because David Cameron hasn't won yet, but has had opportunities to win both of his matches. Whereas Josh Payne beat Andy Jenkins 4-2 with 89 average, and then was on the receiving end of a 4-0 defeat to Hogan, who in turn won that game in 60 darts and 100 average.
Yeah, I think we can
Hey, first leg it's David
almost
to throw
dismiss that a little bit, because
Game
just
on.
how good Paul Hogan was in that game. A 146, a 106, 4 out of 7 from the doubles, and ending up with that 100 average.
100.
David Cameron has carved out opportunities. It's not like he's just been rolled over. He's only lost 2 games 4-3. Now,
60.
what that does mean, it means there's no damage really done in the legs column. If he can start stringing some points together, start getting some wins on the board, he will fly up that table.
60.
We always say if you're going to lose as close as possible. Because the legs, especially in this Group B, the legs always become a factor.
93.
Can't win them all, but if the ones you're losing are 4-3, you are going to be in contention.
85.
Paul Nicholson uses a phrase, doesn't he? Win big, lose tight. Especially in Group B, because this is a group where more than any other, the legs difference will come into play, potentially. Sometimes head-to-head records come into play. I mean, we had the situation in Group A a few weeks ago where
100.
Jared Cole won Group A based solely on a head-to-head record against Neil Duff, because everything else was equal.
100. David, you record 156. $78. Josh, you record 148.
148 for Josh Payne. Won't be done now. Cameron returns to 78 then for
100.
opening leg
David, you
hold.
require 78.
20 for tops. Tops it is for David Cameron.
58.
To hold in the opening
Josh,
leg
require
doesn't happen. It's so
48.
painful. A break of throw right from the get-go. 2 darts at tops to do so.
28.
But they won't go. And so Cameron goes
David, you require
and
20.
stares down that same target. 2 5s.
Game shot on the first leg. David Cameron.
Was just starting to be the worst for David Cameron. When it comes to the outer ring, he's just
Second leg is Josh to throw
he got
first.
to Wednesday. It's like he's just forgot how to hit doubles. Only takes one good moment, one good hit, one good win for it all to turn around again. And you sort of feel that a win over Josh Payne would really reset things for David Cameron.
$58. $44.
Now, of course, we have passed the midnight hour, which means we can open up the Midnight Darts Club, Matt. Our new exclusive club. Do tweet us at MSS Darts. Tell us where you're tuning in to us from this evening. We want to get you involved in the action. You could be joining us, of course, from North America, because we have Canadian representation in this group with David Cameron. Around about 6 o'clock on the eastern seaboard, out in that part of the world, and then around about 3 o'clock in the afternoon out on the Pacific time. Ever had the joy of visiting the great country of Canada, Matt?
97.
I have, yes. I've been to London, Ontario in Canada. Went over there to play some darts. Actually, big fan of the area. They had a all-you-can-eat Chinese buffet for just $5.
100.
Lovely stuff. So, to level this game back up, Payne wants 84. 64 left. Cameron back on 120. He chased the treble and as a consequence missed the big number. Will return for double 11 if Cameron cannot take out this Shanghai. It's a B for a breaker throw and a 2-0 lead for the Canadian. Up for tops we go.
80.
But just above the wire.
22.
You saw the wire bend. It was that close. Josh Payne will get one more dart to level up this game.
18.
Gonna need more than that.
David, you require 40.
David Cameron bent the wire the last time he threw at tops.
Game
He's in the wires.
David
when
Cameron.
he comes down to the double 10, doubles his lead, and that's a breaker throw for David Cameron, which gives him a little bit of breathing room. A little bit of breathing
David
room
to throw first.
is probably something you feel like he's going to need when you're on this sort of losing run. Because
25
shots like that, it becomes harder to cross that line. And when you've just got that little bit of wiggle room, just allows you to get away with a shot like the 25. That
96
on a tight scoreboard, it becomes punishable.
Although, if you ever get the opportunity, you must head to Vancouver in British Columbia. Beautiful part of the world.
$96.
Here's one for you, Matt.
85.
Name one place in the world where you'd like to see a darts tournament take place. It could be like the Colosseum in Rome, something like that.
95.
Daventry.
It's only because you don't want to pay for the hotel.
Yeah, I don't want to travel either. I want to have a weekend at home.
That's why I'm glad this is in Portsmouth.
$93.
No, Payne leaving himself on 1-2-1. He's got himself into positions in this game. but hasn't been able to convert.
83, Joshua,
And usually
121.
Cameron has been hanging on to his coattails at every twist and every turn. So down for treble 17, which would have left himself a dart at the bullseye. And so now he has to wait
David
and hope
Maguire
that
won
Cameron doesn't take out
140.
an inspired 140, a la what Paul Hogan did. And this would actually be for Josh Payne's first leg
100.
in the last
Joshua
7
78.
he has played.
No
That's
score.
incredible.
He has bust. He
David
has hit the
Maguire,
treble
40.
20, going for the single. I'm still going to say that he seems off completely in this game. He's pitching high, pitching
Games on the
low.
third leg. David Cameron.
And David Cameron is pinching the pocket. 3-0
Fourth leg
up.
is Josh to throw first.
And you sort of...
Game on.
What you were saying there about how Josh has carved out the opportunities, not been able to take them. The story of the game here for Josh Payne has kind of been the story of the night for David Cameron.
59.
But when we speak about wiggle room, he's got the biggest amount of wiggle room now. He just needs to win 1 out of the next 4, and then everybody will
59.
have picked up points tonight.
Hey, T1. $41. $100.
Again, we have a look at the players that have managed to recover from this situation, being 3-0 down, coming back and winning 4-3. We've had 87 cases of that
60.
happening, but none of them have been by Josh Payne.
57.
Well, he's got the luxury of time in this leg, but then he's kind of been the front runner in a lot of legs in this game, but then not been able
77.
to convert. That's kind of been part of the reason why he's stuck in this darting doldrum right now. And do we look back at that moment at tops? Maybe
100.
later on in the group. At treble 20 to bust on 60.
58.
Yeah, he wouldn't have been happy with that dart. He would have been wanting to go high, and that would have just been a badly thrown dart.
Game shot on
And
the fourth leg.
ironically,
Josh Payne.
the very next opportunity he takes out the 104. You can see by the reaction that
Fifth leg, it's David to throw first.
there is no positivity
Game
there.
on.
If anything, that is a further kick in the teeth to the busting of the 60 with 2.
And does it now make his final game of the evening when he
85.
plays James Richardson in the penultimate match of the night even more crucial, because we're getting to this stage now where
57.
if he loses this game, doesn't want to see himself dragged behind in the table by the end of play. And the way James
40.
is playing and the way Josh is playing, you'd have to fancy James in that one at the minute.
I think there's a yes and no scenario in there. Yes, if he's really looking at the position that he wants to win the group, but in terms of
100.
what he wants to do is he wants to qualify. He wants to get through to Saturday. That is his priority. So he can still afford to lose that last game. It's not at that point yet where we press the panic button.
60. $100.
Not saying that this game is over yet, because David Cameron despite being 3-0 up, wasn't really stamping
100.
any authority on this. He was sort of just jumping in at the back end of legs when Josh had already missed a couple of opportunities.
134.
With that in mind, Josh is going to keep carving out opportunities.
But like in the
100.
rest of the
Josh
game,
Maguire,
David
110.
Cameron isn't allowing him any room. And that's a slip for the first dart. And so Cameron's going to get a go at the 116. And I feel like we spent half of our week commentating together, Matt, looking at David Cameron
78.
taking out
David,
116 shots.
116.
Well, if he gets a treble, he will get another match dart. He's had match darts in both of his games so far tonight, Andy
60.
Jenkins and
Josh
James
Maguire,
Richardson.
32.
If he's going to get a match dart in this leg, he needs Josh Payne to miss 3 at 32.
Game shot on the 5th leg.
Or just go double
Josh
7,
Payne.
double 9. Why not? So Josh Payne brings it back to 3-2. That was a breaker throw. So the maximum
Sixth,
has the
Josh
darts
to
here
throw
in the
first.
6th to take us all the way yet again. It's certainly getting your viewers worth when
75.
David Cameron's at the hockey, because if Payne wins this, out of the 21 legs David Cameron could have played tonight, he would have played all 21.
139. $100. $43.
And when you're on these losing runs, like David Cameron is at the moment, it becomes hard to break. Despite the 3-0 scoreline that he had, he has seen that
140.
getting wiped out pretty quickly here. He will have the advantage of throw if it goes to a deciding leg.
140.
Something he has not been yet to win tonight. Both of his games so far going all the way.
80.
We'll hope it can end in this leg. It might do so, because he's left himself tops. It's over to Josh Payne. Josh Payne had to watch his opponent, Paul Hogan, take out a 106 for the match. He's on a 106 to save the match. In this one, more
53.
match darts for David Cameron.
40.
And this time, he takes the opportunity.
Cameron.
And David Cameron seals a 4-2 success against Josh Payne. It's his first victory of the evening after missing match darts in his first 2 games before succumbing to defeat. So Cameron is on the board. Everyone's on the board now in Group B at the Super Series. It really is becoming congested in this particular race for Saturday night. Well, we are going to take a short break. When we return, it's going to be Andy Jenkins in action. He takes on Paul Hogan.
Welcome back. Well, before the break, Excalibur finally ended that weak streak. David Cameron winning for the first time in 9 matches, putting Josh Payne to the sword. A 4-2 success for the Canadian. Not the highest quality affair of the evening by any stretch of the imagination, but Cameron will be very, very relieved to put an end to that run as he picks up his first points in Group B. Coming next, it's Andy Jenkins and Paul Hogan. We'll take a quick look at the table before previewing this one. Hogan top of it and still with a game in hand, looking to make it 3 from 3 when he faces Jenkins, who is preparing for his last outing of the evening. And as I mentioned, Hogan has been the best performer tonight. Don't think there's any doubt about that. Let's have a look at some of his highlights now. Both of them coming from his recent win against Josh Payne. This brilliant 1-4-6 checkout in the 3rd leg, with Payne waiting on a 2-darter, and then he went on to take out the 106 to win it, completing a 4-0 whitewash to send Payne packing and to pick up that 2nd win from as many matches. So then, can Hogan make it a hat-trick? He is in the ring with Rocky.
Thank you very much, Chris. And Hogan looking for a hat-trick of wins here, if he can get the better of Andy Jenkins, who is looking to get on the board himself after a couple of opening defeats. Now, Matt has been having a look at some of the odds that the compilers have put in ahead of this one, and there's a little bit of value, think, in this match.
Oh, absolutely. And what we've seen so far tonight, just to give you some numbers and stats, the last 3 games we've seen from Andy Jenkins, he's averaged 73, 78 and 81. In contrast to that, Paul Hogan has been your star performer of the night. 93, 100. He is 4 from 7 in both of his games. He's took out 101, 106, 146.
99.
And he's even money to win the game. I think that is value of the night.
Remember, if you're having a flutter on the MODUS Super Series, it is 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org. And when the
48.
fun stops, stop.
$45.
A reminder that you can also get in touch with us at the Super Series tonight at MSS Darts. Across our social media channels, we are posing the tungsten teaser. Can you name how many countries have represented or have been represented in this competition since the launch in Southampton in 2021? At MSS Darts, and of course you can be a part of the Midnight Darts Club.
$140.
Hogan first to a finish against the darts, but back comes Jenkins, and that maximum is number 140 of the week and 1,250th of this particular series. But Hogan's attention now will be on double 18 for an opening leg breaker throw, and that maximum has allowed Jenkins the opportunity now to keep hold of his darts if he can convert this 69. Bullseye.
44. We require 36.
And so Hogan returns for the double 18.
Game
and the break
first leg.
is obtained.
Second leg,
and as has been the story all night with Paul Hogan, he's just looked comfortable and assured so far.
Well, when we're talking about that value at the start of this match at even money on Paul Hogan, it's not just down to the fact that he's been winning, it's
60.
how he's been doing it, how comfortable he's been looking. And in contrast to Andy Jenkins, who it's just looked a little bit hard work for tonight.
140.
For Andy, this is his final game of
60.
the evening session. Paul Hogan will return in our final match when he takes on David Cameron, and then sandwich between these two encounters is Josh Payne up against James Richardson next. Hogan leaving himself then on 161 after 9 to back the break up, which he accrued in the first leg with a hold in the second.
61.
Doesn't have to go the bullseye route with Jenkins on 2-4-1.
26.
Well,
58.
the 26 just
We've
offered
got
Andy Jenkins a bit of
135.
a lifeline. Bit of a phone a friend. But the call was not answered.
57. $93. We require
78 to
78.
double the lead. 75 left, so it's 25 and bull. The bullseye.
53. And he required 90.
It's a nice finish. You get to stay on the treble 20. And then now you just get to stay on that straight line, that straight vertical line down to
50.
the ball.
Well, we require 25.
With that miss. How often does that happen? The dart can go anywhere, and in other cases, in 10 or the 18.
21. And he require 40. Game shown the second leg.
Talk about opportunities
Andy
they probably
Jenkins.
didn't expect to have. You can see from the reaction, Andy Jenkins didn't expect to be able to have a breaker throw. That was
So
a
look,
20
it's Andy
dart
to throw
breaker throw.
first.
That means Paul Hogan had 7 visits to the board and was not able to get things wrapped up.
45.
It's actually a little interesting piece of history coming up in our last game when Paul Hogan takes on David Cameron. We'll let you know when that game comes on. It all could have been different. The whole darting universe could have had a different complexion.
100.
That maximum may mean this leg has a completely different complexion. Well, now he can't stop finding the treble bed, Andy Jenkins.
100. And he required 136.
And he's going to get 6 darts on this 136. Looking to leave this handy.
96.
Does exactly that. Tops after 12. Much improved by Andy Jenkins. Top stuff this. Top riposte. Top reply.
135. And he required
Keep
40.
him under pressure at every juncture, every opportunity. Double 10.
Game shown the third leg. Andy Jenkins.
And Andy Jenkins opens up a 2-1 lead against Paul Hogan.
Fourth leg, it's Paul to throw
And it's
first.
halfway towards his first victory. And to inflict a first defeat of the evening
100.
upon Crocodile Dundee.
$44.
There's ever been a game that you get the vibe is going all the way.
36.
This one is it. One's going to have some legs to it.
82.
Both players playing in spurts. But it's who can
80.
gel them together with that little bit of consistency will be the one who you feel gets over the line.
100.
Andy Jenkins is firing up. You can see the aggression coming into the face. You can see the aggression coming into the throw. He senses an opportunity here.
60.
Senses an opportunity to end the day with 2 wins, which would be a decent return in Group B.
He's throwing much more forcibly, which is when he plays his best stuff. When there's
130.
authority to the throw, there's rhythm, there's a bit of oomph about it.
$90. And he required 145.
Both players picking up a bullseye with the last dart in hand. Paul Hogan leaving significantly easier shot, even though it's only 10 points.
We require
Whereas in
135.
Payne, Andy would have needed 2 trebles, where Paul Hogan can start on the ball. He's missed. But if he'd have got a 25, it would have been treble 20 for Bull. Bull would have left him treble for double. There's 10 points in that situation, making
57
such a difference.
55.
But this is a potential breaker throw here for Andy Jenkins, which would make a massive difference in the outcome of the game, you feel.
But we require 78.
Should get 1 dart at tots, but we saw on that 78 earlier, Josh
James
Payne get the
on
treble.
4th leg.
Well, Paul Hogan finds the
Hogan.
double and levels us up at 2 apiece.
5th leg, it's Andy
And you
to
still
throw
can't
first.
split this pair, and you still can't pick a winner in this game.
84.
Because just when one player looks as if maybe they could be the one that can pull away in this game,
140.
somebody else is firing back at him. It's been a game of peak and troughs thus far.
Yeah, it was a clutch finish, that last one there from
60.
Paul Hogan. He literally just had the 1 dart at tops. Andy Jenkins was looking like the break opportunity was there. He had a couple of chances himself. And then Paul Hogan, 1 dart in hand, takes that shot. And now back-to-back 140s would suggest that Paul Hogan's going to get an opportunity of his own.
98.
Not looking like relenting in his pursuit for this
68.
breaker throw.
$177.
But just when you think one thing's going to happen, something else comes out the fire. Because just when you thought Paul Hogan may
82.
pull off a breaker throw that would see him throw for the match, Jenkins, it's a 177 to leave 82.
29.
He makes a mess of
We
that
want
82,
54.
only leaving 55 from that situation.
45.
So
and he
good
required 55.
on the outer ring. It's just deserted him here at the wrong time. Make sure of the 15. Give him 2 darts at tops.
Game
Regains the lead, puts himself
Andy
1 leg
Jenkins.
away from the match. And early on in that one, when Paul Hogan opened with back-to-back 140s, you start to fear the worst for Andy Jenkins, but timing was critical in that leg. That 177 to leave the 82.
92.
Was perfect darts. I say perfect darts because it was not only just good darts, the timing combined with that
140.
made it almost talked in.
95. $99.
Now, we did set the tungsten teaser. I can tell you one of the players who plays in this competition has just
60.
messaged me in with the correct answer.
They literally just sat there for the last hour trying to work it out. Like, this
96.
player's played, that player's played.
Put it this way, it's a pen and paper job. We'll reveal all in our
100.
last game, but Jenkins is looking to close out this game if Hogan cannot take out the 154.
60. But we record 154.
Well, he's had a 106, he's had a 101, he's had a 146. He won't have a 154 on this occasion.
100, Andy, we're going 106.
So Hogan is going to get the opportunity to send us the distance if he can fire this 54.
23. Boy, we're going 54.
But he's missed the big 14. And so that slip into the 17 means it's 1 dart, double 13 to take us all the way to a deciding leg, but it doesn't go. And so Jenkins will get his opportunity at 83 to claim his first win of the evening and to get his second victory of the evening, should I say, and inflict defeat upon Paul Hogan. And that is exactly what Andy Jenkins does. And that means now we have 3 players all on 4 points, the 2 just behind on 2. We thought this would be a really tight Group B. That is exactly what's coming to fruition as Andy Jenkins gets the better of Paul Hogan by 4 legs to 2.
Welcome back to the action here at the MODUS Super Series, where Group B is wide open after Paul Hogan was beaten for the first time in the group. Andy Jenkins winning that match 4-2, signing off his night with a victory. Both players averaging around that 84 mark, but Jenkins getting 4 out of 12 on his doubles. Hogan 2 out of 10 in that one. That the difference, as it so often is. Well, let's have a look at how it affects the Group B table. Hogan still sitting pretty at the top of it, but it's now a 3-way tie on 4 points, and James Richardson could move ahead of him if he wins his next game. David Cameron and Josh Payne so far with just one win from their 3 matches. It is Josh Payne back in action next. He takes on James Richardson. Payne has 1 win and 2 defeats this evening. The most recent of those losses came against Cameron, went 3-0 down, threatened to come back though when he took out this 104 checkout before the Canadian finally got over the line after an 8-match losing streak. And then James Richardson, well, he's got the opposite record. A couple of wins and 1 defeat, and his most recent victory is that one you just saw against Andy Jenkins. So can he go top of the table, albeit temporarily, with Paul Hogan waiting to play in the final match of the night? This is the penultimate one then, is Richardson against Payne in the company of Messrs Deacon and Edgar.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. And there is also a scenario play where all the players could finish on 4 points at the end of the night. If Payne can grab victory here and Cameron can beat Hogan, which is exactly what we come to have expected before play got underway this evening, for it to all be tight and tense at the top of this Tungsten tussle to make their way through to finals night. Just 2 more games to go on Tungsten Thursday. I suppose we actually technically are into decision day because it has crossed over into Friday morning.
Game on.
Have we ever had a Group B, where all 5 players have ended the day on 4 points?
I believe we have once, because we were in a similar territory last week. I remember our stat guru, who is
100.
unbelievably good here at the Super Series. Nothing gets missed. Managed to conjure up that stat.
43.
Nothing gets missed here at the Super Series statistically. Excellent work by our behind-the-scenes team, who all do an excellent job at bringing this product to life. It won't be possible without their hard work and grit. A big shout out to all of them.
100.
So, if Josh Payne beats
60.
James Richardson, David Cameron beats Paul Hogan, we have that exact scenario where all the players will be on 4 points and it'll be like tonight never happened.
128.
And so I bring up 2 words with you. Legs difference.
100. Joshua, 134.
Well, we did mention early on that legs difference always plays its part in this group. They all end up on 4 points.
54.
I think it'll be fair
James,
to
you're
say it's going to play its part in
141.
this group. First of all, Josh has to
109. Joshua,
beat the
80.
European champion James Richardson. Stay away from that treble 20, Josh.
Games on the first
You
leg.
want to stay away from
Josh
the double
Payne.
20. Josh Payne 1-0 up. And this is a game that will always threaten to
Second leg is
explode.
James
When
to
we
throw
look at
first.
the stats for this year alone, Josh Payne has recorded an average of 113.49.
100.
James Richardson has recorded an average of 111.33. An average that
60.
actually ties with Josh Payne, who actually hit 2 averages the same. And actually, that 111.33 from
100.
James Richardson and for Josh Payne was actually both against the same player. That player, Paul Hogan.
It's a funny old game, isn't it, Matt?
93.
Well, not if you ask Paul Hogan.
$140.
At 140 there leaves him on 161 after 9 darts. With Payne all the way back on 348. That 140 piles some pressure on.
161.
But Richardson 6 darts from this mark.
$92. 140.
Back-to-back 140s
James
for
requires
Josh Payne. Puts him
69.
back in the leg. A leg that looked like it was going the way of James Richardson.
38.
He was only affording
Josh
himself a dart
requires
at the ball.
68.
Quality darts from Josh here. 140, 140 has carved him out this opportunity. It's a dart at double
Games
16.
on the second leg.
Dart at double
Josh
16,
Payne.
he converts. That, most importantly, is a break of throw.
So like it's Josh to
That
throw
moves us
first.
halfway to the halfway point of that scenario, where we might get all the players tied on 4 points.
97.
Something I know you're looking forward to potentially seeing.
So if you're halfway towards the halfway point, surely you're only a quarter of the way there.
100.
Don't get too complicated with things. It's nearly 1 o'clock in the morning. Well, I'll give you it. I'll give you it. We're a quarter of the way then, if you don't want to use the halfway of the halfway.
60.
It's just not English. It's just grammatic. It just doesn't make sense.
41.
The halfway of the halfway. Well, have I completely lost the plot?
Well, if you like half a
77.
Kit Kat, you might go, oh, can I have half of that? And then it's one finger. You don't ask for 25% of a Kit Kat, do you? Granted, you
81.
won't ask for half of a Kit Kat.
No, because I'll probably just buy one myself.
I will keep talking until it
97.
sounds like I'm right.
Well, it's Josh Payne whose darts is doing the talking at the minute.
59. Josh requires
He's got
170.
6 on 170 to extend the lead to 3.
$56.
On 14 upon his return. What kind of pressure can Richardson put on it here?
$100. Josh require 114.
That turned just about halves his score. We'll get an opportunity at the 120.
James require 120.
A player that likes tops, this is a lovely finish. Everything straight up that line, which he's lost on the first occasion.
80. Josh
Just
require 56.
offers another opportunity for Josh Payne, who hasn't missed a dart at a double yet in this encounter.
Games on the third
He's not
leg.
going to
Josh
start
Payne.
now. Josh Payne is a leg away from not only getting the points, but
Fourth leg against James to throw
making the
first.
legs column look a little
Game
bit
on.
more healthy, because Josh Payne is the only player so far tonight who has took a 4-0 defeat. He took that in the hands of Paul Hogan. So if he can dish out a 4-0 of his own,
85.
it will just strengthen his position in the legs column, especially if David Cameron goes on to beat Paul Hogan and everyone's on 4 points.
115.
Legs will be quite important.
And so he's 3/4 of the way there now
83.
in this match.
Well,
So
he's-
3/4 to the halfway.
Well, he's over halfway now, isn't he? You'd say he's probably halfway and maybe another half.
91.
Sounds like the worst Bon Jovi tribute act ever.
60.
But what can Josh Payne take from this performance? Because I just feel a bit of an up
54.
and down night, possibly, for the maximum.
It's been an up and down week, really, hasn't it? Let's be honest. He's had moments of genius and he's had moments that
100.
he'd want to forget very quickly. As long as he does enough of those moments of genius that book him through to Saturday,
57.
he will not care. He will not want to leave here tomorrow night, leaving behind an opportunity to play for
137.
£5,000 on Saturday night.
So Richardson to get his first leg of the match on the board. He's going to return for 36.
100. James
With
require
Payne
36.
sat on 84 for the match. Getting closer,
No
but he
score.
cannot find a way in.
Josh require
So
84.
Payne returns to 84 to seal the match. Double 11 to do it. And Josh Payne rounds off his evening with a 4-0 victory against James Richardson. The pair averaging 84 in that one, but it is Payne who joins Richardson on 4 points following that game. And if David Cameron can get the better of Paul Hogan, every single player is going to be on the same amount of points following the opening night in Group B. Join us for that when we return.
This is the MODUS Super Series. $182.
It is the world's leading weekly darts tournament, and you can be part of it as well, whether that's watching on YouTube or Sporty Stuff TV, just following us and getting involved in the conversation at MSS Darts on social media, or being here on a Saturday night. Tickets available absolutely free from dartshop.tv. And if you fancy a throw, Well, the ADC Amateur Dart Circuit is the place to go if you think you can mix it with the best, and qualification routes are available via the ADC as well. And the final match of the night will be Paul Hogan against David Cameron, but we just saw the ADC's European champion, James Richardson, get beaten 4-0 by Josh Payne, who was perfect in his checkouts in that game, 100%. Including an 84 finish and an average of 84 for the pair of them. And that means that the group table, as the boys in the commentary box were talking about, could be tied at the end of this final match between all of the players. So a really interesting end to the evening coming up. Currently top against bottom. Paul Hogan has been top of the table after a brilliant start to the night. David Cameron ending that losing streak he was on. But it could be all of them on 4 points. So Hogan on took out a 78 finish, to in defeat to Andy Jenkins in his previous match. He'd won his first 2 matches with brilliant performances, but the level just dropped a little bit in that one. David Cameron had lost his first 2 matches, but he just beat Josh Payne. And now the pair could end up on the same amount of points. Indeed, all the players could end up on the same amount of points at the end of the evening. Will that happen? Let's find out in the company of Henry and Matt.
And there's another interesting scenario here, because Paul Hogan and David Cameron, the players at the top and the bottom of the table. Well,
Game on.
If David Cameron wins this game by a margin, he could go from the bottom of the table to the top of the table overnight.
This group is everything we expected it to be, and just a little bit more.
80.
And when we look at this fixture, we said earlier on that we had some interesting news or some interesting stats to discuss during this that kind of changed darts in a sense, and that comes down to the Saturday qualifier at the Masters.
123
won the final of that event 6-0, restricting his opponent to just 2 darts at the double. That opponent was Paul Hogan. After that, David Cameron went to Lakeside, and we know what happened there. Beat Kevin Painter, he beat Robert Thornton, he beat Colin Monk, he beat Richie Howson, and he beat Phil Taylor in the final, and became the Seniors Masters champion, which has now qualified him into the Seniors World Championship as well.
125.
And we stem that back to that final. If Paul Hogan would have won that final, David Cameron would never have gone to Lakeside, would never have had the opportunity to win that title. Would we see him at the Seniors World Championship? Would we be watching him right now?
Darts is about destiny. Darts is about weird sorts of things. It's a fantastic start for Paul Hogan there. 13 darter to hold the throw against Cameron. And so unlike that previous meeting, Hogan has got a leg on the board, leading Cameron by a leg to 0 in our final game of the night. And this will be the opening salvo tomorrow, because the fixtures will flip and reverse. And of course, don't forget, we'll be back tomorrow morning from 9:30 a.m. And that is going to be for the conclusion of Group C, which is headed by Gary Stone at this present moment in time. Then we will return around this time tomorrow night to see who goes through from Group B, which could be anyone and everyone at the minute.
45.
At the moment, the easiest thing to do is just pull the league table up on the computer, close your eyes, and just point.
100.
That's the easiest way, I think, to make a prediction at the moment. $13 data from
100.
Paul Hogan in the opening leg, and it looks like David Cameron's aiming to reply in kind.
62.
I thought of the bullseye there from David Cameron, potentially attempting to lead the least
85.
used double on the
David, you
dartboard, the
require
double
59.
17.
We saw a treble 13 for double 17 earlier, didn't we? Graham Usher is far more
39.
conventional. But the tops doesn't go. However, he has the luxury of time. Hogan back on 186.
100. David, you require 20.
2 10s to level this game up.
Game show
And
the
level it
second
is
leg.
at 1 apiece.
David Cameron. So like it's Paul to throw
His
first.
4th dart thrown a double in this match so far. And potentially David Cameron, who is bottom of the table, could
60.
so easily be on 6 points tonight because he had match darts in his first 2 games of the evening. They came and went.
100. $100.
I suppose this is the appropriate point to give the answer to the tungsten teaser. How many countries have been represented here at the
46.
Super Series in its previous incarnation, the Live League? The correct answer, 22.
140.
Which in full, very quickly as Hogan races his way down to the finish, is England, Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, France, Spain, Netherlands, Belgium, Germany, Denmark, Sweden, Russia, Poland, Switzerland, Hong Kong, Japan, Australia, Brazil, India, USA and Canada. And it's the Canadian that fires in a maximum to keep him in contention in this leg.
No, who was the players that
130.
represented from those countries? No, I'm just on.
Please, no.
$140.
Keep
We
people
require
up
71.
well into the late hours of the morning, trying to work that one out. Well, Hogan's trying to work this one out because he's hit a 6. It leaves you 65, 15 for the bull.
41.
Couldn't recover the situation.
David, you
David
require
Cameron
35.
has an opportunity now to break the throw. Move us halfway to that scenario of everyone being on 4 points.
Game show on the third leg.
We did mention as well that David Cameron has the opportunity to move himself from the bottom position on the table to the top. I roughly work out that that needs to be around about a scoreline of 4-2 or better. 4-1 would certainly deliver that outcome of moving from the bottom to the top, because his leg difference would go into the plus, but everything that he takes will be coming off Paul Hogan, who is on the top at the moment with just a plus four leg difference.
Been a long day. That's his second of the match, and the average now is just ticking underneath 98. We've seen Cameron have a ton topper this week. He did that on Tuesday.
The longer this game goes, the more likely I feel that we're going to get this scenario where all the players are going to end on 4 points. Because David Cameron is growing into this game.
$140. David, you're at 155. $97.
So 58 up to 12 to put him 3-1 in front. But it's going to be under some severe pressure from Paul Hogan, who
58.
finds himself a max to keep tabs with Cameron, who gets 2 darts at tops.
And
he's within a leg of the win now.
Cameron.
He's within a leg of a near unprecedented scenario at the Super Series, where all the players in a particular group will be tied on the same amount of points overnight.
So there's a couple of stats that we're probably going to have to look up and find out a little bit about how many times that's happened before, where all the players have ended on 4. But another one I'd be interested to know is, as a player, halfway through a group, ever gone from bottom to top within that one match, like David Cameron's looking like he's about to do here?
It leaves us guessing ahead of tomorrow night if that was to be the case. Paul Hogan's going to have more than a couple of words to say about that.
$85. 60.
Reminder, we return at 9:30 tomorrow morning for the conclusion of Group C. I hope you can join us on the MODUS Super Series YouTube channel, which, if you are tuning into us from, don't forget to give us a subscribe, because on top of the live coverage we're bringing you, we'll have bonus content, including Game of the Day. We'll have highlights from every single session for you, so please do tune in for that.
60.
Paul Hogan then, 147 after 12 to bring it back to 3-2. Cameron setting on 116 to win the game, 59. To put all the players level on points following the end of the first day's play here in Group B. Tops of Cameron.
Game shot
from the bottom to the top
Cameron.
In the space of 5 legs. David Cameron ensures every single player following the end of the opening night's action in Group B are level on points. It is an incredible turn of events here at the Super Series. It's kept everyone guessing going into tomorrow night's session. Hogan, who won his first 2 matches of the evening, went on to lose the subsequent 2. David Cameron losing his first 2, winning his final 2. Cameron a 4-1 victor against Paul Hogan in our final game of the evening. Our final thoughts and reflections then up on the balcony with Matthew Edgar and Chris Murphy are coming up now.
Well, what about that then? It's certainly got Henry excited. Matt, what about you? Let's have a look at this league table, because it is all 5 on 4. Wow.
Wow, indeed. I mean, I said it's going to be tight. I said it's going to be close, but I didn't expect this, to be honest with you. I mean, we saw there David Cameron literally leaping from the bottom to the top. And all 5 players on 4 points. I've never seen this before. I'm told by Henry it has happened before, but I don't ever remember seeing this in any league. And was there any point in even bothering tonight? We might as well just play the one-day group.
Well, the one thing, of course, that is different going into tomorrow is the fact that there are differing leg differences there. Do you think that will be a factor? Do you think David Cameron starting on 3+3 makes a difference, because he is, of course, 5 ahead of Andy Jenkins, who's outside the provisional qualification spots?
Well, the thing to remember with this group is we're looking for 3 players. 3 players will qualify through this, so it's undoubtable that those legs are going to come into play within this group, because when we're looking for 3, I think it's going to be a leg split when we're looking at 3 and 4 places.
Right, who is the, sounds like a strange question, but who is the standout player for you this evening? Who's the one that you're not really worried about tomorrow that you think will get through?
I don't think there is one. I think everybody has played really well in patches. They've also shown a lot of frailties. I don't think there's one player that stands out in any department here, and I think it's wide open, and I wouldn't like to nail my colours to any mast and say that person is definitely through.
Does momentum matter? The players that have maybe won towards the end of the night, like David Cameron, because he's ended a real losing streak, and his performances, his results have been streaky this week. 6 straight wins and 8 straight defeats, and now it's 2 wins again.
I think it would if we carried on playing now, but the session's over. They're going to go away for 24 hours and come back again, and what happens in that period of time could change everything again, and we could be starting afresh again tomorrow night, and that momentum could completely change. David Cameron could come in and not perform in the opening games like he has in the last ones.
Yeah, they're going to go away for 24 hours, but we're not here at the MODUS Super Series. We will, of